Hey there guys, Thomas here. And sometimes I really don't like you guys. Like, I was looking forward to reviewing one of the worst anime of 2017, so I gave you 4 options on my Twitter account. A really messed up, stupid horror game, going into another world with a freaking smartphone, some romance drama that seemed to take place in a dystopia, or another freaking horror-filled slice-of-life comedy ecchi crap that's definitely going to be demonetized since I'll forget to pixelate some cleavage. Guess which one you picked? So, I'm not really sure what to say. It was covered in Watch or Not before, and well, yeah. This is so bland. It's a not. But this time, everything's much better because I watched the uncensored version. Oh yeah. Except that it wasn't uncensored and they still censored boners that stick, not even out like that, just stick from the... But the good yet kinda awful thing is that I think I even like the show. Much more than I expected at first, at least. Though for every good thing that they do right, they just bury it with something bad. Like the characters, for example. Of course, it's a standard rom-com, and that means that the plot is pretty much non-existent. But if you don't have a good plot going for you, then you need at least good characters. And if you can't do that, then you try to at least make the characters themselves look different from one another. Now, there are many ways to do that, like giving everyone different hair colors, dressing them up extremely weird, or in this case, giving them all different boob sizes, which range from normal, not normal, a freak of nature, and your scrawny little back should literally be broken at this point. We have our main girl Yame, who doesn't really progress that much through the story. But neither do any of the other characters, so I guess they all have something in common. Nene, who is the little sister character. Not blood related, of course, they just call each other brother and sister even though she's the, childhood friend. Ranko, who is lesbo for Yame, I think. And Junichi, who is the main character along with his friends. So most characters devolve into punchlines for some gags. On one hand, they sometimes work, on the other, they don't. Like one of his friends, the fat one, is a pedo. That's the joke. Everybody acknowledges it. He goes nuts over little children and even sells their art that he himself makes. It was kinda funny in the beginning, but went too serious by the end. And for another example, the little childhood friend really likes Shunichi and sees that he's now dating a gal, so she herself decides to dress up like them and even pick up on their talking styles, which is pretty fun, but again goes over the line when she shows up naked in his bed while he's sleeping and almost sexually assaults him. How did she even get in the house? Did she break into the house while everybody was sleeping? But even though the characters themselves suck, there's at least one thing that they did kinda right, and it's the comedy. This is pretty fun. It's a standard ecchi romance show, but the jokes and over-the-top acting work at times to a surprising degree. It's definitely a turn-off for some people, but at the same time the vivid imagination of Junichi, while being super annoying sometimes, also added a lot of spice and originality to the series. And it mostly reminded me of JD from Scrubs, except a lot hornier. And even some of the trope episodes that we've seen hundreds of times in different shows are well executed. Like when they went to the beach and later on take baths. Surprise, surprise, the boys want to spy on the girls. But the manager there is very strict on rules, and it ends up with them running in the forest in full military gear, just trying to get through the battlefield to see some boobs. So yeah, what it has going for it are the jokes, and that's pretty much the only good part, kinda. Everything else is trash, but the good kind of trash. Now, I'm super conflicted about the story in this show. First of all, Shunichi is a total incompetent nincompoop. He's portrayed in the beginning like having no chance at all with the girls, along with his friends. Being a total loser, and in just 3 episodes, he has an insane harem around him. There's all kinds of girls trying to have sex with him. borderline trying to, yeah, him. And that's just too unbelievable. Why did that happen? Even the fact that he got a girlfriend is unexplained and really forced. She showed no interest in him, and he asked her out, and she was like, no, but then suddenly she was like, yeah, why not, I like you. So if you're here for a story, leave. Save yourself. Okay, mostly it's a love story between a girl and a boy. Nothing special there. They even have all of the trope episodes, like going shopping, going to the beach, school festival, getting cucked, playing party games, etc. But with a twist. The twist being that the main girl is actually a gal, which I didn't really know what it meant before, so googling it up it meant girl. And a show with a title, My Girlfriend is a Girl, is kinda like, what? Okay, so? Unless they mean the second definition of gal, which I'm pretty sure they don't. But in context, I guess it got lost in translation or something. It's meant to be my girlfriend is a slut, or like, okay, yeah, pretty much kinda like that. And if that's true, then I kinda see why naming a show My Girlfriend is a Slut wouldn't really work out well. But that's the whole premise. That's what's supposed to make this show quirky. A normal, shy, perverted freak asking out this alpha slut, who turns out to have a golden heart in her all along, and isn't a slut at all. So, aside from a boring premise, the story itself is majorly flawed. And I kinda get it that it's not supposed to be taken seriously. Which, if you don't, then it becomes quite enjoyable. I'm even pretty surprised at myself that I managed to get through this without having an aneurysm or something. It ended up being a guilty pleasure for me. And this is kinda hard to say, but I liked the beginning, the first half of it, until it started taking itself too seriously. It sacrificed its vivid dream sequences, puns, jokes for an actual romance show, and it all fell apart. I even watched the OVA, but that was hands down the worst episode of them all. Like zero charm that the original story has, and instead it was this really boring school festival episode that's mostly a love story between those two, and nothing funny even happens. Just an average romance episode. So it completely let me down. Okay, super important. So it has a dubbed version, and that makes it a lot more enjoyable. It's kinda like Ghost Stories level dubbing, where it retains the original plot to some degree, but changes out the dialogue tremendously. It just Americanizes it and makes fun of everything. It's like the Japanese version is family friendly, while the American one, not so much. So like in the 9th episode, they just said cock definitely like 50 times in one episode.
Cuck. Cuckold. Cuckold? Cuckold be cooked. Cuckold.
Examples. USA version.
Just look at her. That slut's the sluttiest slut that ever slutted.
Japan. She's gotta be a slut. Japan. You got a pretty nice body. Let me use it a bit. USA.
Damn, girl, you got a pair of tomatoes on you. How about I slip my cucumber in there and make it a salad?
So yeah, if you're here for some shitposting, cheesy dialogue, then definitely go for the dubs.
Condoms are for boys.
Overall, this story was better for me than I expected initially. But let's get this straight. I don't recommend this to anyone. Please stay away, unless you're really into ecchi stuff. Though I do have to say that I enjoyed it. It was like a little tiny roller coaster ride for me. It started off quietly, and I was iffy about the whole situation, didn't care much for it, and it annoyed me, but it grew on me slightly, and I started to like it. And right as it was about to get really exciting and funny, it just became an average love story again, and just became boring for the sake of having a light-hearted ending. I wanted to say a 7 out of 10, but with all the crap that it pulled at the end, it's a 5 out of 10. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm trying to hit 4,000 subscribers one day, which, I mean, we're getting there. There's like no actual rush, so yeah, it's going pretty nicely. And before you leave, check out this guy, Felix Noir. He also makes awesome anime reviews, and if you could go and check out some of his videos, that would be awesome. They're well thought out, definitely take an insane amount of time to make, and his channel gets my awesomeness approval, because he's pretty much the only one in the anime community who does stuff like that to my knowledge, and it's totally worth it.
We've seen the likes of James Bond and others grace our screen with gentleman spy antics, but good old Japan looked at what we have done and said, that's great and all, but there's just one thing that's missing with all your spy movies. What might that be? We asked back confused. We take pride in our work, you see, so we don't take criticism lightly. Where the little girls at? They replied, and we stared blankly. The fuck were they on about? They could read us like a book, so instead of pressing us, they just left while saying, want something done right? You do it yourself. And so, Princess Principal was born.